What's up, everyone, and thank you for joining me on this episode of In the Trenches. Our guest today is a content creator whose work from Morgan Wallen caught my eye. Not to mention, our lengthy conversations on set recently together had me like, yo, let's stop and hold it for the podcast. Anyway, he's here with us today, but I want to remind y'all, please like, share, and subscribe. So let's jump into it with David Forehand. Hey, thanks for coming by, dude.
Thanks for having me.
I'm stoked to have you because we just met, I don't know, a month ago, 3 weeks ago on set, and not my set, on a job where we were there doing it was for Morgan Wallen. It was the new video, which is going to be highly anticipated.
Super excited for that.
You and David were there rocking, getting all that gnarly BTS, build something cool, I'm sure. And I was there shooting, single art and promotion material.
Those indoors looked insane, dude.
Oh, thank you. It was fun, and hats off to Justin Clough for directing that, because I even told him how proud I was, because it's really cool to see that level of craft work still being done in music videos.
Totally.
I love music videos, and as when I came up as a young filmmaker, I looked up to the Marcus Nispels and the Mark Romanics, and a lot of people listening to this might not even know who those people are,
Right.
but go look up Bush Greedy Fly. Marcus
Greedy
Nispel.
Fly.
Yeah, I mean, that's when
Yeah,
you
check
started
it out.
to get really into just really awesome videos, but where you had directors who were at the highest level,
Yeah.
doing these things. Anyway,
I'll
shout
say
out to
that-
Justin, because I haven't seen the video,
Yep.
but I know well enough to see that he was in full command of that, and it was awesome. It was really cool.
It is cool to see that,
Mhm.
because I mean, even when I got into it, you look at like the MTV era, and
Yeah.
you look at like that was this discoverability aspect, and now it's shifted to like Instagram and TikTok is the discoverability. It's the new MTV of music. It's how people discover new music.
Would you not having lived your career through the MTV, the TRL, but you are living through the social media, it's all at the power of your phone.
Yep.
Do you enjoy the power, or is that power a crux and you would love to just hand off that power? And
Dude, it's weird because I feel like
I've lived through both,
yeah.
so it's
Dude, you probably have a way different dynamic of it than me, but I mean, it was less of, I don't know, it's weird because it's less powerful and less valuable. An abundance of anything gives it less power. So it's
exactly.
it's fast food media. It's like go through the drive-through, you're done. Like, it's just so quick. It's like fast paced. It's like the fast fashion stuff. It's like, I was just watching a documentary on that. It's on to the next. It's new. It's next. And I think we were in such a, you go to a restaurant, it's like 5 pages. It's like, I don't even know what I want. But then you go to a restaurant, it's got 5 items, and you're like, okay, cool, boom.
Yeah.
And that's where the MTV factor came in. They were the curators of like what was working in music, and that's why music videos were so powerful.
You had very few platforms or avenues.
There you go.
To take in that media.
Yep.
So it became super worth it. See, I knew I wanted you on the podcast because though we just met a little bit ago on set, man, we were riffing.
We were
crazy. You, David, and I were just a huddle in a corner, just scheming life.
Dude, the first conversation, you said, no. Save it for the pod.
And I was like, yeah,
dude, this is awesome.
I'm thinking like that now. Wow, look at me. My mama would be proud, Roy. But anyway.
But yeah, I do think it's different. It is very different these days because you have to shift. And like, I think early on, it was hard for me to get a grip on like losing the art in a way, because that seemed like a sin of creativity.
Because what brought you in was that drug of creativity, right?
Totally.
So letting go of that is, I just said that to Troy at lunch.
Yeah.
It's like cutting off a main artery to a creative. It's almost certain death.
Yeah.
Crippling.
Yep.
Right?
I think part of the reason we lose the that like the wow factor in the art of like of creating is we're so desensitized to it. Like early on, you know, like doing your first videos, you couldn't, like, you shot it and you went home and edited it immediately and you're like, "Oh, you thought it was the coolest thing ever."
Well, actually, I had to develop film,
Well,
go to
okay,
the
yeah.
lab, wait a week, spend 12 hours in a telecine se no,
But you did all
I
that.
agree,
You know,
yes,
what seemed
yes.
to be boring now was passionate and so
Oh, yeah.
exciting, and you couldn't get away from it, and that's what got me into video, but now you're so desensitized because it's a business in a way.
Mhm.
You have to be, like, so forward-thinking and proactive about the future that it makes almost everything that you create a little less valuable, which sucks.
Yeah, it's for me, I guess for me, that's
Yeah.
where photography
Yeah.
comes in play, because I do feel even this late in my
Mm.
career, I've been re-bit or
Mm.
bit by that bug.
That's
You
awesome.
know, that passion to wanna build
Yeah.
something, build an archive
Yeah.
of iconic
Yeah.
imagery that can last for that artist's
Yeah.
history. Oh, that's really cool, you know?
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't hear too many people on a daily basis telling me, "Oh, wow, you know, Good Charlotte needed those
Yeah.
videos with you." I'm like, "No, the videos were a moment in that
Mm.
time, but, like, photos for me signify something a little bit more timeless and
Totally.
long lasting." So, you know, I guess I somewhat
Yeah.
took a little turn in the road when I felt that emotion
Mm.
from the directing,
Mm.
that is,
Yep.
from the visual.
Yep.
Now, mind you, I've been living in the directing
Yeah.
world since 18 years old doing, you know, Bone Thugs and, Exhibit, Cypress Hill, Eminem,
What?
Good Charlotte, Breaking Benjamin, Three Doors Down. All these videos were my life, right? So then
I need to be just
to
asking you questions on that. That's insane.
to to then you know, there becomes a point when you've done a lot
Mm.
of it, right?
Yeah, totally.
And naturally, you're looking to grow in it,
Yeah.
and I wasn't growing
Mm.
in it. So that's when, you know, I got rebit with the
Yeah.
photo bug, and I had to do it differently
Mm.
than I did my videos, where my videos were just so massive.
That's
Big
interesting.
photos. Look how I am
Totally.
simple,
Yep.
very
Dude, that's how it's often so overthought. I feel like it's the simple stuff that, like, really has the most
mm,
impact. I don't know if that's because it's a lower expectation or what, but it always seems like the more simple, the better.
simplicity. It took me a long time to realize that, but that's how I kind of
One of my
live by that, like,
Yeah.
perfection through simplicity.
Mm.
You can perfect something as perfect as you wanna make
Yeah.
perfection. It's different for everyone.
Right.
But when you have less moving parts, right?
Yep.
Less things to have to grab a hold of. To me, again, coming from a music video world where I
Yeah.
was controlling everything, photography and doing it this way was
Yeah.
that,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
you know?
One of my photo buddies told me early on too that, like, because I started getting into the sets, like, you know how, like, when you're just a dude with a camera or like something, you can, it's easier to fulfill the vision, and then when you have like a budget and you're working with like you're directing and you got a DP and then you got gaffers and then you got PAs and you got everybody on board, it takes longer to achieve the vision, right?
Sure.
And he was like, dude, the budget doesn't dictate, like, you know, if you have $50,000, you have $10,000, that shouldn't change the way that you execute it. Like,
He's right.
they're hiring you.
He's
If
right.
you show up with your camera and you alone for 50,000, 10,000, 5,000, anything that you add needs to add to the final product.
Ding,
So don't
ding.
get
He's
caught
right.
up.
Don't feel like you have to justify
Right.
the dollar value,
Mm,
with elements.
right. Well, that's why I got
It's not
like,
job security because you have all these pieces.
yeah.
Like me, it's literally we'll talk more
Yeah.
for a hot second, but, like, if it was any of those albums,
Mm,
it's void of all the productions.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's why I love you said that it's like you and the artist.
Yeah.
Cause I come from hip hop.
Yeah.
And, it was always like that. It was so easy to just hit up an artist online or, like, in
Yeah.
Atlanta, you know, be like, "Hey, dude, like, let's work together," and it was just so easy. You'd get the number instantly. I worked with
Mhm.
Quavo, like, a couple of years ago, and it was just, like, him sitting on the back of my truck bed, and
Mhm.
he's like, "I need someone who would just pull up." He didn't want the fancy stuff.
Mhm.
He was like, "Here's 2 grand, like, out of his pocket," you know what I mean?
That's
It's
good.
just like one of those
I
things. Like,
know.
it's shifting. And like my buddy AMD Visuals, who is now like one of the Lyrical Lemonade directors, me and him had really long conversations about like what he's doing now and the creativity, and like he's just a phenomenal
What's he
director.
doing?
He's doing a lot of the hip hop stuff. He's directing major hip hop videos. They've created an outlet. The Lyrical Lemonade outlet is like basically got hip hop music videos in a chokehold. No one else can compete with that outside of like Dave Myers.
Sure.
You know what I
I
mean?
know. Shout out to Dave,
Hey.
good buddy.
Love him, dude. Oh man.
And his DP, Scott Cunningham.
Dude, I look up to Dave Myers' work. He was one of the first directors. He had a video, the Adore You Director's Cut with Harry Styles. My favorite video.
Can I tell you an inside scoop on Dave?
Yeah.
I was considered a transient director because I would be Scott Cunningham, who's one of my best friends, who's his DP. Back when I was directing,
Yeah.
I was doing baby videos, you know? I mean, I was looking up to him and getting the baby jobs compared to what Dave was doing.
Right.
And I would go to Dave's sets, Myers sets, and just completely learn the craft.
Dude, I like literally just want to talk about that.
I've been on dozens of Dave Myers sets, completely learning by watching someone who has been around from generation to generation, from pop culture to pop culture. He still stands at the top of that music, of visuals for music, and how innovative he is. I learned a lot.
Dude, he's awesome. He's one of the first directors that I like really clung on to. It's like, this guy is insane.
Well, back in the day, I don't want to get too lost in Dave train, but there was a company called FM Rocks, which is, they had Dave. And I think Dave, if I can remember right, he was pretty much shouldering. He was the guy. I don't know when he wasn't the guy.
Yeah.
You're right. Personally, but they were running like honestly, I think he was doing like five jobs a month. Each job at 500, 600, 700,000.
That's what I'm saying. Like
multiple crews, multiple DPs running. I mean, it was
That's
powerful. That's what I
insane.
grew up in, being a baby director, learning from those guys.
It's incredible. And it's like hard, like, because it just seems like, how do you not become desensitized to it?
Yeah. I mean, I would go into telecine sessions, which were color grading sessions when you're doing film. And, you know, I would be in one bay. Dave would be in another bay doing like a Nas video or something. Yeah. And I would hear that Dave was in the other room. I'm like, see ya. I go, you got this, right? Yeah. Keep it crunchy. Keep it, okay, bye. Yeah. And I would go, because I always learned from those peers, man.
Yeah, man.
And before you know it, even on sets, dude, I would go to sets and, you know, Dave would be like, hey, come over here. Dude, oh my God, this is bringing back a story. Slipknot. I remember Duality, I think, was the video.
Okay.
Big video, huge video. And his producer, I didn't think liked me because I was always hanging around or something. I was like that guy, maybe.
Feeling way too.
You know what I mean? And his producer was saying something like, okay, whoever doesn't need to be in here needs to leave because we're in a basement. It's going to blow up and, you know, it's going to be all that stuff. And he was like, you don't need to be here. You don't need to be here. And pointed at me like, you don't need to be here. And Dave was like, no, he needs to be here.
Dang.
And man,
that's just like,
Dave doesn't even know that story. So maybe Zach had a clip to that one and gave that to my boy. Yeah. I have the utmost respect for that whole crew over there. And
that's awesome to hear, because you look at those people and like, you often hear horror stories about people that like,
no, Dave loves what he does.
That's amazing.
He loves.
It shows. He's separated himself.
Absolutely.
He's the GOAT of music videos.
I would definitely. I wouldn't contest it.
I don't know what I was saying about my buddy AMD, but it became one of those things. I was basically going to reference. He started with Lil Yachty, and Lil Yachty was like one of the people that was like early on the whole. You got to do everything if you want to be valuable as like a utility in this media industry. Like I'm no longer gonna have someone on my team that can only do video and can't do photo and graphic design and all this other. You got to wear all the hats, and it's like, I just often look at like ways to create opportunities for yourself, because no one really is ever gonna do it, you know.
Do you think that is, I mean, and
Totally, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not even,
Right,
is that, I mean, to hear that is eye-opening. Not that I don't expect it,
right.
and not that I don't see it,
Yeah.
but, I mean,
I think there's a little bit of
to
validity
be the
to it.
to be the full DIY, I mean,
Yeah,
I get it from their angle, but
right.
I think I see burnout in
100%.
the creative doing it. I see it being a here today, gone tomorrow,
Totally.
hating life, not wanting to do this
Well, I
business.
look at, like, my buddy AMD, who I keep referencing, shout out Ari, he didn't really look at he didn't really get in his head too much about it. Like, when I look at Ari, he, like, just did what he had to do to make the dream come true, and if it was wearing all the hats for a little bit to
Yeah.
show that this hat that I wear is the better hat, like, and I'll let you see that one day, like, and he ended up earning it, and he's now wearing only the director's hat. I do think there's a little validity to it. You know, I think early on, you gotta do whatever you gotta do to get
Yes.
in ahead of the next dude.
Because you don't have that kind of freedom
Right,
when it's not early on.
right.
As you get on with your life and more things start to
Yep.
happen,
You
it's
can
crazy how you
Yep,
close doors without knowing you just closed doors. So I wanna make sure that people know that, yeah,
yep,
you're gonna make those moves
yep,
early, those kind of,
yeah,
gratis moves,
yep.
street moves early on.
It also like, determines what your goal is.
Mhm.
Like, if you only wanna be a director, if you only wanna do that, I mean, there's pros and cons to paying your dues in whichever ways you can, and if it's joining a team full time with an artist and wearing all the hats to get to the next step, then maybe that's what you gotta do. Other people, you know, "I'm only a photographer, I'm only gonna take stills, this is my lane, I will only do this and climb that ladder." There's success there too.
Yeah. I feel like that's a bit more, I feel it even in my
100%.
own space, how the lines are
Yeah.
starting to wanna get crossed, and
Yep.
I don't still cross them.
Yep.
I am a director.
Yep.
I am a
Yep.
photographer, but I am not both at the same
Mm,
time.
that's good.
I can do both,
Yep.
and I understand at times you're gonna be on a boat or
Yep.
a yacht. There is not gonna be two, for sure, I got you.
Yeah.
I got it. I'm a
Yeah.
team player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
It's so
you
tough
definitely
'cause
do need to allocate what you do.
yeah,
Otherwise, I think you just get beat.
totally.
I do.
I agree with that. It's hard 'cause
Especially in that hip
it's
hop game. Dude, I mean, I mean,
you have no leverage. You're just
no.
trying to get leverage,
Yes.
and you're just trying to be seen as valuable,
Is that
and
what it is? I think that's really what it is. When you're living in the hip hop scene, at least in the space that we're
yeah,
talking about, like running the streets, hollering
right.
at your boys,
Yep.
getting in, shooting, getting the quick 2K.
Yep.
There's not, I mean, you're really just looking for credentials, a body of work
Totally.
to move on to the next
Totally.
thing. I mean, I do believe as a photographer or anything in the space, you do need to be um trying to elevate your brand. I mean,
Right.
I do see how the shift when I was coming up, I was just a director,
Yeah.
and was signed at a production company and I did my directing things. I was that, and over the years, now what do?
Yeah.
I'm a photographer.
Yep.
I'm a director. I host a damn podcast. You
Right.
know what I mean? Which means I'm moving. I am, whether it's
Yeah.
at my own pace,
Right.
I'm moving at. I'm not just idling and staying in
Yeah.
one lane. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yeah.
So you do have to absorb that, but I do feel there that it can get
Oh, yeah.
too much.
Well, I think it's tough because, like, think about okay, if you have a wedding, are you hiring the music video director, the dude who also does corporate, the dude who does commercial, and then the dude who does footwear, and he can also do weddings? Or are you hiring the wedding guy? Like, you look at that, it's like, I think I would rather be the guy.
Well, here, real quick, because I do see an issue with not this discussion. This
Yeah,
discussion is great,
right.
but you know what is not being labeled enough?
Hmm,
There is a content edit
right.
and there's a creative edit.
Totally.
There are two different things.
Yep.
Two different things.
Totally.
Content is services,
Yep.
the TRT, which is total running time.
Yep.
But a creative edit doesn't necessarily, it requires a different
This is
thought
great.
process.
I was just talking to my buddy about this. I think there's 2 types of content. There's discoverability and then there's, like, lovability. the discoverability needs to be like low effort quantity.
Mhm.
So for an artist, it would be the iPhone videos. Set your iPhone, play your demo on acoustic. So easy, costs you nothing, right? You can do 30 of those in a day if you want.
Mhm.
That's going to help someone discover you. But then when they discover you, they need to find the piece of content to fall in love with you. And I think that's where the music videos, I think that's where the documentaries, that's where the artist curates their brand identity through those things. Because you don't need to try and do all of them at all times. Like the documentary is not going to be how you get discovered mainly. Maybe it is, but there's a smaller window and smaller potential for the mass amount of people who would love your music to find you if you're only doing this fine art style stuff, which I'm all for it. I'm like, if I could only create art through passion and that's how I made $1 million, I would love to do it, right? But there's an aspect of creating utility and discoverability because
But does one person do both?
I think they can.
As you were saying a couple of minutes ago.
I think they can. I think you have to find the person that recognizes the difference. Because, I mean, TikTok, Instagram, they respect quality to a certain extent, right? Like if I shoot it on my iPhone or if I shoot it on a C70 vertical, who's going to really know the difference if it's just a one take cover, right? Or whatever. But you got to find the right person. And I think that's like part of what I'm trying to do more these days is like devote my time and efforts and resources to people that like I believe in and like makes sense. Good people, like good music, like less transactional because it just doesn't necessarily, I love finding the flow state in my work with the video, right? The BTS. I woke up one morning, got instantly inspired, flow state. Next thing you know, I'm 7 minutes into the edit and it's been 2 hours.
Sure.
And I think that's what you recognize as a creative for me. It's finding those flow state moments, those passion moments, and really capitalizing on that. But you also, at the end of the day, do have to, go through the motions and get your bills paid.
Well, when you said a second ago, about being your own brand,
Yeah.
with what you just said is how you would describe what you do, we do,
Yeah.
the artists, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Isn't it the same thing
That's a good point.
for you?
It is. It is.
When I realized that, I think my wife told me that.
It's
Why don't
hard.
you just do what you do daily for X, Y, and Z artists?
Right.
You're like,
Yeah.
what? Oh,
What?
okay.
What?
And it just even just adopting that thought process.
Mm.
Because
That's good.
I agree. What started this little topic was the fact that I do agree, coming from the old days to now that we can talk about that one little area there
Yep.
is not is up to the person, but we do know for a fact that you need to be a brand.
Totally.
You know,
You got to be sellable.
You have to.
You have to be marketable.
Yes.
Everybody does.
And it's unfortunate that you do have to. That requires.
Really unfortunate.
Yeah, about it's more than just a work.
Yeah.
It is. It is what it is.
Well,
I don't know how to
that's
describe it.
Going back to what
works.
Yachty was saying, like wearing all those hats, that's how you become more marketable. I think that's kind of what he was saying. Like, I need an asset. I don't need someone who's an expense. I need someone who's going to actually prove value. Like, I need someone who's going to be on the team, who's going to be thinking in business ways at all times. And I think that's how you market yourself too. We're in a world where it's like so oversaturated. Like, because I look at my competition and your competition being two different things. Like, I look up to someone like you as sort of an OG, someone who's like stamped their name. Like, they know what they're getting when they come to you,
Sure.
right? You have that ability to be like, when I do a music video with Morgan, it's going to be me and him creating the ideas and the concepts. It's our show.
Yeah.
If I got the chance, I have really limited leverage for them to trust anything.
Well, you're gonna have to go through the chains a bit more. There'll still be chains that come in on my side,
Totally.
but it'll be after the idea has been conceived.
But I'm like constantly trying to find strategies of creating that leverage, which is so confusing.
What do you mean by leverage?
Well, I mean, like, how do you have someone want to hire you? Like, I think that there's a lot of reasons why someone would hire Spidey. Why would someone hire me? Like a lot of my portfolio is great images of concerts and behind the scenes of artists. In a lot of ways, it's journalism. It's, capturing the moment as it's happening. And I think
And what is mine?
yours, I think you have sort of a more curated identity in it. You know, like you have reasons to. When I say someone will hire you over me, is like I don't think that someone would look at my portfolio and say let's have him create the video idea.
Okay.
Obviously, they can look at your portfolio and say he's done it. He's got good ideas.
Sure.
We know the Spidey style.
Yeah, yeah.
It's hard because I try to create opportunities where I can create my own style, but at the end of the day, I'm more of a utility. Like, we need a dude who can take good concert photos. He can do it.
Well, with the specific camp you're in now,
Yeah,
you know, but taking your vision
that's true.
to the next endeavor, not leaving
Right.
what you're doing now.
Totally.
You're still implementing your views.
Yep.
You're still implementing your care
Yep.
and craft work, and
Yep.
it's more about like what what will be received
Yeah.
of what you
Yeah.
present, you know, and there will be things. It's
Totally.
not as if it's not being
Well,
heard.
I don't necessarily want to downplay my work. I'm very proud of myself, and I think that I do have a style, but it's more of still a convincing aspect of like.
Well, you're also building your career
Totally.
too,
Totally.
you know. I mean, I was kind of thinking about it in a way as you were saying.
Yeah.
Like I remember vividly
Yeah.
a record label commissioner,
Yeah.
not knowing I was in the room while I was, because I was like, "Ooh, we're gonna get a video. We're gonna get it." You know, the executive producer's office, and him saying, "Well, if he wants to do it, then he'll take a pay cut,"
Mm.
which meant I'll do it for pretty much nothing.
Right.
And there you go. I mean, you
What's
got to work your way up.
I
It's
know.
it's natural. I mean,
Totally.
I could tell you stories about my
Yeah.
coming up. It'll have you crazy. You know, it's
Yeah.
nuts.
Well, okay, so let me ask you this question. So, like, and one of my buddies in LA who I ask a lot, he's is a big fashion photographer in LA, just utility editorial
Cool.
stuff. And he's constantly he's like, I want to be an artist myself, right?
Mhm.
Like, I don't want to just be someone who can take a picture of someone on stage. Like, how do you create a separation of like just being able to get the job done? 'Cause, like, we're in a world where, like, they can hire me, and if I can't do it, then they can just easily hire someone else, and no one will lose sleep. How
Mhm.
do you get to a point where they need you to get that product? You know what I mean? Like, they need us. They'll remove the date to get you because they need that look. They need your product.
Yeah. How do you get there?
How do you do that?
That's a long conversation,
I know.
which we need to have. Let's go.
Well, that's like kinda
Um,
where I'm at with it. It's just like
well, you have to build it
totally.
step by step. Um, you got to put yourself in the rooms
Yeah.
that you want to be in.
Yeah.
Um, and find a way
Yep.
into those rooms.
Mm.
Some rooms will be closed, but another will be open. What rooms? A studio.
Mm.
Okay.
Yep.
And then when you're at these moments,
Yeah.
I say it all the time. Treat it like you're shifting a gear,
Mm.
right? When you come in, you can't just be in fifth gear.
Right.
You're revving. It's
Yeah.
not going to work.
Right.
You're clunky.
Yeah.
You got to look at the room.
Yeah.
And I say that this is an answer to your question, because if you can capitalize in those moments,
Yeah.
that's how.
Yeah.
When you stop, mine, I knew from the beginning, like I said, is I want to be on the inside.
Yep.
So even if I'm not necessarily come in
Right.
to this
Yeah.
mic booth,
Yeah.
come in, I walk in.
Yeah.
Like it's mine. You know what I mean? It's mine. Of
Yep.
course I need to be there, right?
Yeah.
No, you don't need to be there. Oh, okay.
Alright.
I didn't hear that.
No, that makes
No,
sense.
no, no. I mean, that's not a
Yeah.
cocky thing. It's
No,
saying
no.
you have to know the importance of that moment.
Yep.
If you don't, then it's not your style of photo,
Mm.
right? It's not what you're thinking.
Yeah.
I know to be like, I mean, I'm always on guard. You saw
Right.
me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm on guard because
Ready to go.
I'm ready. And there's plenty of moments where you're not. I know
Totally.
when it's not.
Yep.
But like controlling the moment too. That's another thing I try to teach people. You can control the moment.
Mm.
Number one, absolutely. If there's a bus like this,
Yeah.
front, back,
Yeah.
right? Let's do front, back. And I'm right here.
Yep.
Do you think Jake Owen is going to come out of here and go left?
Right.
No. He's going to follow me. He's going to know where I'm at. Oh, and that means where? That means up the ramp over the court. I can show you photos of Tongi in Indonesia. If they see me there, they're gonna walk in that path. Then
it's true.
I'm looking at that path going, okay, they're gonna be there. What's the shot? Foreground? No. Before foreground, no, back foreground. I'm already while they're in there doing something that I can't be, I'm working on that moment. Hey, shit happens. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes some person's in the shot and I'm like, really?
Oh, I hate it.
Or sometimes it's even better, like that's the Tongi moment I'm thinking about, where the girl in pink has got this umbrella over him. She's focused so heavily on his umbrella. I love this moment.
It's amazing.
Anyway, those kind of situations is and is how you capitalize and how you get your work to be more in the room versus pop. You're not invited to the party. That feeling, in the inner circle, that inner circle moment. It doesn't mean that inner circle moment could be you alone in the you can be in the studio with Hardy, and shoot it in such a way that you're not in the inner circle.
Totally, 100%.
Okay,
that's all.
Let that sink in.
Oh yeah,
get in that inner circle, and now what happens?
You bring out
perceived as something.
100%. Well, it's also
do it enough. Capitalize on enough. Showcase and present all that enough, and guess what? You're that guy.
Totally. I learned that when I lived in LA. I had a buddy look at my work and he was like, "You just kind of look like a fly on the wall." He's like, "Why? How does this show me that David's there?"
Yeah.
And
where's your voice?
Where's
your presence?
And you build a relationship going in the studio. There was a recent time where we were in the studio with Mo, and there was some cookies there.
With you? Who are you with?
Me and Mo.
Okay.
Me and Morgan.
Okay.
And just a lot. I had the privilege of going and capturing a studio session, and
I know those photos are good. They're great.
Oh, dude, thank you.
Like how close you are on the feet.
Yep.
We stretched out, on the couch, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah.
We were making some jokes about the differences between cookies and milk and brownies and ice cream.
Cookies and milk, brownies and ice cream.
Yep. And I was team cookies and milk. He was team brownies and ice cream. There was a perfect moment where it's on my Instagram, a perfect moment of us laughing about it. And I just snapped a photo. And I look at that moment as if I'd have just sat back and been a fly on the wall, this would never exist. So there is an aspect of us being artists and our presence in the room curating the entertainment. If I sit back and do nothing, the content's going to be lifeless.
Oh, you doubt it. Done.
Yeah,
do that. Do it.
No, 100%.
Don't just talk it.
100%.
And when you're in it, tell yourself, am I doing this?
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
And shift.
Yep.
Know that shifting. Don't clunky. Don't rev. Get it.
Can I ask you a question? So,
I love that conversation.
Dude, that was awesome. I don't know if we had to get approval for that, but whatever. That was pretty good. Have you seen my work at all on Instagram?
Yes.
Can you give, and I hope this doesn't sound pretentious or narcissistic, I'd love to get an opinion. And you inspire me and I look up to you. I would love to get your opinion of my work.
When I look at
never asked this question.
When I look at your video stuff,
okay,
your motion, I relate to it.
Wow.
Because I see someone who is conscious of the corners, which is something I preach all the time. You probably have a little OCD to you or something about you.
Yep.
But you like things to be precise, exact. And I dig that because I'm the same way.
Yep.
There's really no mistake in how you want to be very intentional. You're very intentional to your motion, and I love your moments. They're great. Your photos, I really particularly like a lot of the Morgan. Where he's like, right to the camera lens. You're breaking those walls up. I think you're doing exactly what you're saying. You just got to keep doing it.
Totally.
And be that voice on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Just what says this is more stand on it more. How does this stand out more than this person's? Right?
Yeah.
So you're looking for your voice.
Right.
How do you that's a hard thing to even say.
Right.
What is your voice?
Yeah.
I can say I think
It's a good way to put it.
my work has a voice.
Yep.
And I think if you strip away technical crap, which we can always talk,
Right.
you know what that voice is? Artists are extremely comfortable and friendly and friends with me.
Totally.
I mean, at the end of the day, you strip the onion,
Yep.
and it's you unarm the artists you work with.
Mm.
Well, to me, that's it. That's
Yep.
cool. That's cool. The rest
Yeah.
is easy stuff, nerd stuff, which
Yeah.
I do like
Right.
talking about.
Yeah.
But I don't. I think too. Here's something that's interesting to talk about in regards to this subject is like, do you then in post start to create your look?
Mm.
Does your work start to have a thing
Mm.
to it
Mm.
outside of production, let's call it, outside of being in the field?
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is post.
Yeah.
A lot of what
Totally.
we do and time spent and hell, what photos we even pick.
100%.
Um,
I think majority of it's I just saw something recently where it's 90% editing.
well, yeah, I try not to do that.
Which
I
I
try to
don't
be about
know.
the moments. I want the
No.
moment to speak, and you can cut it, you can edit, or what is it called? Color it any way you want.
Right.
But I do know that I have gotten to the point, well, my point in getting at that is I've been through so many
Yep.
other retouchers,
Yep.
then ideas of my own,
Mhm.
and I just start to I know what I like.
Yep.
And you know what's interesting about where I set out to do this a long time ago. But I wanted my videos,
Mhm.
I wanted my photos
Okay.
to be somewhat closer to my videos.
Okay.
And they were so opposite. I just was like, what the hell? I was like strobing.
Mm.
I'm like natural light,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
And so to me, to say, like, do you think you need to be known for something?
Mm.
I'm asking you.
Do I think
Yeah.
you need
Do
to
you
be
need to be known? You're a look, a style,
I think
a
so.
thing?
I think it's important
Mhm.
because you're just like I think it's I think you just said it in a way that I've never heard articulated or maybe not recently, but it's your voice.
Sure.
Like it's you. It's your individuality and that's kind of what I was saying is like why someone would hire you over the next guy
Mm.
is your voice. I think it's important to stand out.
Yeah, I mean, why did I pick
Yeah.
this location? You would have picked that
Right.
location. That location isn't any more right than this.
Totally.
You
And
grew up
yeah.
as a kid and
Yep.
you were obsessed with certain textures and
Totally.
that led you to that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's it's a question. I think that it's a confidence thing or
I don't
something.
think
It's
that
I don't know.
I don't think the editing is what is the sole exclusive component that creates your voice.
No, God, no.
I think the
God,
like shoot like if you shoot it
God,
better,
no.
you know what I mean? If you shoot it better,
That's
it's
what I'm
gonna
saying. I would like to think any one of my photos can be colored any different way. I don't
boom.
give a shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, to me, it's all about why am I making that
Yep.
decision to make that moment the moment.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
That's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
I remember what got me into photo way long ago. I've said it before. Is this Slash photo from Guns N' Roses, and it's like thumbnail size on inside the Appetite for Destruction or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just him with a towel wrapped over his head, post show, shirt
Oh,
off,
that's cool.
kind of sweaty, cigarette, black wall, like
Yeah.
cinder block, shower in the background kind of thing.
That's so
And I remember being like, yeah, that's dope of Slash, but like, man, who
took that.
took him?
See, that's what I'm talking about. It's
You're
not
there.
part of photography is being in the room. Like you said, it's not even clicking the button. It's like having the eye and knowing when to click it. Like
That's it.
it's not hard.
No, it's not rocket science
Being
to
there
get
is
the
hard.
right exposure. Yes.
Being in the room and having the eye to be like, I'm gonna, and a lot of times it can
I'm
be
gonna
either
go up to Morgan Wallen's feet,
Yep.
boots,
Yep.
while he's in deep thought,
Yep.
possibly working out a
Yep.
mix or a lyric,
Yep.
and he's not gonna think twice
Yep.
that I'm doing it. I'm gonna jam a camera up in there and
Yep.
click it, and I'm not even gonna be a spot on. Boom.
Exactly.
if
Exactly.
that's your style of
That's what I love
photography,
about
if
photography.
that's what you want to be known for. Some people want to go do portraits in studios and really flex
Tyler
their
Shield style.
yeah, they
Yeah.
know their lightings
Yeah.
and they're gonna pull out the artist in some weird way that
Yep.
is out of because
Yep.
honestly, a musician in a photo studio is like a fish out of water. So
Totally.
if you can start to pull some weird characters out of them,
Yep.
now you've got the Tyler Shield, you know,
Amazing.
those type of
And I think that there's a blend of both
genius. Oh,
too, because like I love the journalism aspect because it's not fake. You know, I love the fact that exactly what you said, like, this is just a good image.
Yeah.
This is what happened.
Yeah.
This crazy moment you're seeing in this image is exactly what happened at that
don't
moment.
overthink it.
No one did anything
Yes.
to curate this. A lot of times you have to fake it, you know, in like editorials and magazines, all these cool, like Tyler Shield styles, it takes tons and tons and tons of preparation.
Feel a little bit less. It feels less authentic. It
There is
really happened.
Totally.
But guess what you know?
Yep.
You knew that there was all of this stuff
Right.
around you. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, cool. I can do that too.
And I love that.
Maybe. But
Right.
you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
when you're alone
Yep.
and it's stripped, you don't think about that. You think about the honesty
Yep.
of whatever is being shown. And that
Yep.
generally speaks to me. And I'm really happy that I found that in
Mhm.
my work.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I feel like I'd be like,
Right.
trying to be like, I'm going down this lane. Yeah, I really feel like I'm going down the lane that I want to go down photo-wise.
Yeah.
You know?
I've got the most like um physical engagement or like verbal engagement from showing people photos that like really happened. Like when I went on tour with J Balvin last year, like second tour ever, never been with a major artist, never I've been to Paris like once for work. Like
I
never
liked your work with him.
it was really cool. And it was a journalism style. Like after
It's
me
aggressive though.
yeah, it
I liked
was.
it.
It was really cool, and that's the one thing I just it got me more on a documentary mindset too. I think that's a goal of mine to in the future to create like a short doc on something and have it be my vision, which is tough because you know you don't always get that opportunity.
Do you like when gonna ask you, do you like to control things or do you want to control things or do you really enjoy living in a moment or in the reel of a doc? Hey, I
Yeah,
love docs. But
yeah,
or do you want to and you can steer docs too. You can
totally,
make docs super stylized.
totally.
I mean, come on, of course.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, do you see yourself being in very stylized
Mm.
growth? Do you
Yeah.
want to go there or do you want to live in more of the
Completely raw.
raw
So
doc?
I think it's I think a not so glamorous answer would be like the blend of both. You
Mhm.
know, I think that there's I get a spark when something's happening and you just capture the moment and you got the shot. You know, if like I'm gonna reference the stuff from Morgan because being on his team recently this year, I got a lot of it. Like our walk from the main stage to C stage was so like thrilling. You're like all these hands are coming and like you know
Mhm.
just trying to grab him, and you're like I'm like this close to him, and you're just capturing the moments. Like that's history, you know. And
Mhm.
there is something extremely special about that.
Yeah.
You know, I think the B side of that, you know, is creating an element that is what's your voice in this? You know, what's your like, what are you trying to do? Like, what's your vision for this? And it's the same way I was telling you about the piece earlier. I just watched a documentary on Muhammad Ali that had a good one
Yeah.
where the intro sequence is like a drummer, you know, like completely unrelated to the overall, but
I
it
love that.
reinforces boxing, heavy hitting, drums, sound effects, you know,
You
and
gotta feed new life into things.
yeah,
You know, I would think being on the road
yeah,
with Morgan of
yeah.
all artists, I mean, dude, you're a you, every episode or not episode, every recap is
Mhm.
like seen by bazillions of eyeballs,
Totally.
and they're excellent. They're
Yeah.
excellent. You know, so it's like you're giving, like I said earlier, you're giving a Mercedes to a girlfriend, you know, like how do you keep on your first
Exactly.
date, you know, how do you keep one upping
Yeah,
spectacular things? Well, it's creativity.
totally.
You think outside of what you've been doing,
Yep.
you know?
Exactly.
And now, like, if something so fresh and back to what we said a while back, simple.
Yep.
Simple. We're in slower times, you know? Slower meaning we're in the December seasons or whatever. I mean, I definitely think creative thinking and getting out of the
And
norm.
totally, and I think that I had a lot of opportunities this year and even last year with J Balvin to, like, introduce my voice a little bit. Like, last year, it was, like, something as simple as, like, convincing him to put a GoPro on the mic,
Oh, yeah.
you know, and, like, that's dope. No one
Sure.
has done that with him.
Sure.
Or, like, you know, like, whatever, like, trying stuff like that, and, like, this year it was, like, having Morgan sign my lens because I was like, I saw this in sports, and, like, I know he loves sports, and I was like, "This is just unique," and then slowly after that, I didn't innovate that by any means,
You
but
know, I was gonna say that's genius. I see it in my tennis matches.
yeah, right, but you slowly after that clip, you start seeing other artists do it, and it's like, that stuff's really cool because like, you have a part in, like I'm not in you know, I'm not gonna say that I influence anyone to do it, but being a part of something that works, you
You're
know,
on the
it's like
team.
so and being with J Balvin was really cool, being, like, the studio stuff, and he took me to Columbia where he's from, we had a crazy Jordan campaign there, and I met Reggie Sanders, who's, like, Michael Jordan's right hand, and spent a 2-hour car ride going to, you know, this crazy street of Columbia, talking to him about stories with Michael Jordan, and, you know,
I would
he
flip out.
it was insane, and, like, those are the type of stories and, like, shooting stuff there, like, and just me and Reggie walked around the street of Columbia, and that's what it's all about for me, you know, it's you never really get those moments, and that's part of the documentary aspect. You can't write that in a script.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was gonna happen, you know, had I known, it probably wouldn't happen, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you just I don't know why the spur of
Why do you yeah, well, how do you move forward? How do you move forward as a filmmaker
Yeah.
knowing that? Because 'Cause you're right.
Yeah.
Does it become an all-in immersive, I mean, high-end content for someone? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be high-end. I mean, honestly, I shouldn't even say that
Yeah.
because the lower the more honest, the better in that document.
Yeah.
You can't deny it. You're like, "Oh, your budget's gonna be X because you're gonna shoot Alexas and this
Yeah.
and that." It's like, "Really? Well, how about some Black Magics? They're
Right.
great." You know what I mean? Or hell, I
Yeah.
proved it, iPhones. I mean, it's still gonna be fine.
Yeah. It's
Not for
it's
everything, but
it's tough because like, man, the way that I treated that scenario was like, again, how do I create an opportunity out of this? Like, I took a bunch of cool photos of Reggie because we were doing a Jordan campaign for the new J Balvin Air Jordan 3. So he had him on, and I was like, well, let me give him some different assets. Obviously, Reggie is a lot of behind the scenes, but I put him on this really cool basketball court in the middle of nowhere, like in the middle of this crazy, you know, commercialized street of Columbia, and there's like local kids playing soccer around us, and he's like holding the shoe up in the air. And was for nothing. There was no expectation. I sent him the folder afterwards, and he would just sent me a message like, "Dude, you're insanely talented. This is awesome."
mm,
And that to me was worth more than any sort of agenda I could have created superficially on the side. It was just like, I'm here with him. I've got my film camera. Let me just utilize him for a little bit. And then, you know, and then he loved it. And like, he literally overnighted me like 5 shoes for my birthday, and
yeah.
I'm like, "Dude, I didn't even know," you know, like, he even remembered it was my birthday, but it's, like, little connections like that that's really cool. Um, and then we also I got stuff there was a we ran into organically an insane mural of J Balvin on the side of this wall,
Mm.
and it, like, reinforced sort of what we were in town to do, and getting footage of that we repurposed for the piece, and, like, doing that was so unexpected, you can't
No.
write it, and
But does it get lost in short form, or is it gonna you see, that's what
yeah,
I worry, and that
yeah,
again, that's one of the I love
yeah,
about photo is that you can live.
yeah,
You know, I worry because, like, content does get lost in the contents of my
100%.
junk drawer in my
Yep,
kitchen, the contents in your glove box, it's just stuff, you
totally.
know, and I worry about that, you
That's the
know?
one thing I admire about photography is you get so much more immediate
Yeah.
gratification, you know? And I'm a photographer by hobby. I don't hardly ever get booked to do
Sure.
photo
Love your
exclusively.
photos.
Um, I love film photography.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a constant challenge. It's a passion, like pushing film, shooting on different film stocks, trying different cameras, going medium format, you know, not shooting just auto, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
Yeah.
also you got a ton of point and clicks out there that will just do incredible, create
Sure.
incredible images. Um, I lost my train of thought.
Well, you have a lot of inspiration, I can tell by hearing you. You know, I mean, you can't lose that.
Yeah, no, I don't.
You know, do you feel like you need to do you have because with what you're saying, you need
Yeah,
multiple clients,
totally.
right? You
Yeah,
need
oh,
you
yeah.
got your situation with Morgan, you
Yeah,
gotta have your other one so you can, you know,
yeah,
use your strengths over here, then what you can't use
yep,
here because they don't need that strength over here, you
yeah,
can, and I think that's what is gonna be making
totally.
you feel like Superman.
Dude, I've been having so many conversations with people recently on, like, the next step of
Sure.
creativity. You know, there's like it's
Yeah.
hard for the in-betweeners of creatives. You know, there's, like,
What do you
entry
mean?
level and then
Oh,
there's advanced, like
sure.
and I'd look at Dave Myers as being someone extremely advanced, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And then you have people who just bought their first camera as being entry level,
Mhm,
you know?
mhm.
It's hard for the in-betweeners because we wanna be advanced, but there seems like to be 2 pools of
Well, you
opportunity.
can't flap your wings too quick. You
Right.
gotta learn.
Exactly.
You gotta put in the time,
Yep.
uh, craft work and street work
Yep.
to kind of get to a Dave Myers level,
Of
you know?
course.
Um,
And I don't
and that's come with
oh my
jobs that he
gosh.
doesn't even like, I'm sure, and, stories I'm sure he's got that'll be like, "Oh my god, I can't
Yeah,
believe this happened to me."
yeah,
But I've got my stories that I, like,
totally.
cringe on, you
Yeah,
know? You gotta go through those to
yeah,
even get
that makes
movement.
sense. It's a constant battle of, like, trying to make efforts to, like, what's the next step? How do I expand? How do I create longevity? If I broke my arm tomorrow, God forbid, uh, how am I gonna make money?
Well, you're still building your brand,
Right.
and I think that's what, you know, again, multiple
Mhm,
artists,
mhm.
what's the next step? It's all
Yeah, yep,
you, and there's nothing wrong with that.
yep,
You're servicing you
yep,
to your
yep,
clients, hopefully, plural.
yep.
Um, uh, and with that, you're using all of
Yeah.
your armory, your weapons.
I think a dream scenario would be because it is nice working with one artist, especially one that aligns with your creativity. Um, you know, creating stuff and getting hardly any pushback is the dream. I've worked with some
Yeah.
artists that's like, dude, this shot's gonna live online for 0.5 seconds. We don't need to redo the whole edit for it. You know, I'm also not gonna tell the artist like, "Hey, it's your image," you know, it's like, "If you wanna take that out, let's do it," but also we're splitting hairs here, so it's like, there's definitely artists that, like, you know, it's harder to appeal to their style, and then there's easier artists that are like, "We trust you, we have you on board." The hard part was getting on board. Now we trust your vision,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, and thankfully, the current situation is like that.
How did you get in touch with
David Lair, the
David?
GOAT.
Dude, we was just
Dude,
on a little bit ago.
I know, man. I called him before doing this. I will say the thing about David Lair, dude, is you don't find many people like this
Mhm.
that I've experienced in the industry, having worked in LA and Atlanta and now Nashville. He's the only person that I've ever met that like will actively push your name above his behind closed doors. Numerous amounts of time I had people come up to me who I didn't even know, some big exec or some big name person is like, "Are you David Forehand?" Yeah. David Lair would not stop talking about how much he loves having you on board, how much we
Great.
needed you, how good your stuff is, and I'm like, I'm just, like, speechless.
Wow,
Never had that.
that's great.
It takes a specific type of person
Yeah,
to
no,
be so humbled
exactly.
and so secure that they're like, "No, he's the guy."
Well, he's building a team, you know, and
That's a
it
leadership thing.
exactly.
Delegating
I
and
was gonna say that. It takes a certain leader to put others' interests
yep,
before his to get the the bigger picture
yep.
achieved, and that's it
I
kinda
will say
it's telling.
totally. It was really good this year. I was, you know, I constantly like I love being a student and always learning from everyone and every transaction I have. Being with David and Matt Paskert was a blessing for me.
Mhm.
I was in town for less than a year and I somehow got on Morgan Wallen's camp, you know, and that's due to David Lair joining the team and starting listening to Matt Paskert because I mean, he's a workhorse, dude. He's got a family to feed. He's got a house to pay for. We
Absolutely.
all got stuff to going on. He's doing Zoom calls before like, in the bathroom of the stadium and just to get away and do his work, you know,
Yeah,
and he's on the phone with his wife. It's like,
yeah,
I admire his work ethic too. He's got a really good business
sure.
mentality, and learning from the both of them was
Mm,
like I had the best of both worlds.
that is good.
Like, I got a leader who's humble and will let you do it because he trusts you, and then I got Matt, who I'm just like, "Dude, you're a business, you know, work powerhouse." You know, like, so I got really blessed, dude. I'm extremely grateful. I can't really like, I feel undeserving sometimes. Like I said, I'm proud of my work, and I think that, I've come a long way, but it's an honor to be in that camp.
Oh, shit, you got thrown in the front lines of history
I can't
all over the place. I don't even know where you guys
dude,
went. There was records breaking and
it's unbelievable, and I just I gotta give it to David, man. He trusted me, and, like, I was just like, How?" You know, like,
Yeah, how did you meet David?
so me and him met through a mutual friend. We met one night, at the bar. Like,
Where everything happens
we
in
met
Nashville.
at a Halloween party.
Okay.
And I was stepping out of an Uber, and, like, couple girls there, like, he was friends with, um, my fiancée now,
Okay.
and her best friend was friends with David. They both were all 3 of those they were all
Oh, so you
friends.
had an in?
I had in I had no idea.
Really?
So this is coming in. I used to work with an artist named Mike. Shout out Mike. He kinda popped my cherry when it came to touring.
Mm.
I was LA based commercial doing just coming off of my biggest job, $50,000 startup music company. I'm like, this is my career. I'm
Okay.
gonna be a commercial director.
Mm.
I also was with an agency in Atlanta that had a partnership with Atlantic.
Okay.
So we were doing like every major company that came to Atlanta wanted us to do the content, Sprite, T-Mobile,
Okay.
Nikon, Foot Locker, Nike, you name it. And I was just on like I was the only director there.
Okay.
So they were like, all right, David's just going to do the video. So I got tons of commercial experience there. That's the way I was going.
Now, when you say commercial, are these content commercials or are these
Pretty much. Yeah. So
tier
like,
one? These aren't tier one.
so Nike was a Nike Air Max campaign.
Okay.
And they were using the content as the campaign. And it was highlighting different, people to, sort of, let's see how it was basically they were launching an Air Max that was centered around HBCUs. So they had different people representing different HBCU colleges,
Okay.
like universities, and did that. That was my first ever like real commercial campaign where like, oh, it's Nike, like everything's official. We got to wear booties, like, you can't step on the sidewall, you can't step on set. Um, and those are real, like, even the one with Sprite, they gave us $50,000, and our whole content bit was, let's give $25,000 to the community to structure the recycling
Mm.
infrastructure of the city of Atlanta. It was one of those things where, like, you could easily tell the difference in the community based off of the trash bins,
Sure.
And so
There's a big difference between the ad world and the music world. I
completely
mean, it's night and day.
completely
Do
different.
you see yourself migrating more, or I mean, you've come from one to the other. Where do you, it's easy to say both,
Yeah.
but it's not
No.
easy to do.
My heart's in music, and it goes back to this whole, like, do you wanna be the guy? Do you wanna be the jack of all trades, the master of none? Do you wanna be the master of one? Which one is it, And I think, I cannot get away from the fact that I've always been in love with pairing music and media.
Yeah.
That's where my heart's at. I can create a recap with well, I'm not gonna say that, it's too egotistical. It's very easy for me because of my passion to create music-styled content.
Yeah.
The thing I love about commercials is because you do get to share your voice a little bit more.
Mhm.
The clients just wants the job to be done. If you can say, "I'll
Sure.
do it, I'll make your life easier, whatever, and I'll do it," like, they're all about it, right?
I'm the opposite.
Really.
Commercials are a committee, and definitely needs to be done this way.
Mm.
In the music side of things, it's go. It's
See, and I love
interesting.
that. Like, it's the music stuff for me is yeah, it's I love doing commercial because there is the aspect of you get 2 different aspects. Music, you kinda just have to show up and do it. You don't have personally, I don't have a lot of control in the content that I'm paid
In the
to do.
music.
In the music.
Okay.
Where the commercial stuff, it's like, "Hey, dude, like, we know you've directed this Xbox campaign before, this Xbox commercial. Can you do it?" You have a little bit more leeway to be like, "Alright, well, how do I want this to be done?" You have the control.
Mm.
Versus the music, it's kinda like show up and create what's happening. I mean, like the music video, right? I don't really I mean, most of the music videos I've done have never been like that. like the music video we just were a part of. And I'd love to do that. And I think I could do it. Obviously, it's hard to get a boardroom of people saying that.
Well, there's a lot of to hone a set like that requires knowledge from a director who can almost do everybody's job for them.
Totally. I can see that.
And over communicating what he or she needs, and at the moment you're not getting it, move, I'll do it, kind of thing. That's what those kind of jobs need. And even to have a kind of personality that can not only do what I just said, but also cannot get overwhelmed with having to oversee it, be looking off, you're not just sitting in a chair. You saw Justin, he's moving constantly.
Totally.
Keeping everything buttoned. That's what I'm saying. He's running a set.
Yeah.
You know, he's not just relying on an AD. He had an AD and a second.
Right.
And he was still handling business, doing his rounds, keeping everybody tight. He's a leader.
That's the one thing I value about doing the agency stuff is I got that opportunity. The one I just referenced, I got the opportunity to direct a Microsoft Game Pass Xbox commercial, and it was to announce that you could do this Xbox Game Pass on any platform, whatever.
Okay.
And it was Microsoft based. I had to talk to Microsoft, and basically the agency who we were not the agency I was with, the other agency was like, we don't know. Most of the time, director really doesn't.
Yeah.
The agency was like, we have no idea. So I'm all right. Like I got to get on the Skype call with Microsoft or Zoom call, whatever. Anyway, I'm on set. We're working. We're doing the thing. I've got this whole thing planned out. We've got all these custom PCs. We've got the screen recording. I got a tech here for all this stuff. PAs, camera operators, the whole thing. Right. Producer was horrible. The producer that I was given was terrible. She didn't do anything.
Wasn't your own?
No, it was agency stuff. I didn't really get to dictate that. They basically just said, hey, we want you to direct this, but we're choosing a producer or whatever. Anyway, I got put with an enormous challenge of like, okay, we had the Atlanta Hawks, John Collins, and we had Harry the Hawk, John Collins, and then oh my gosh, we had another athlete on the Hawks team being the talent, and they were gonna play this game. Well, they come back and like I had all these separate interviews planned, about 3 hours of work. And they're like, hey, we only got 30 minutes with the talent left. And I'm like looking at the producer, like, what do we do? What are you talking about? So anyway, I just say all that to say that thankfully through the agency, I have gotten a little bit of experience by being thrown into the fire and had to like troubleshoot stuff instantly and send a cam op to go do an interview while we're doing this and that.
Sure.
But you're right. You need tons and tons of reps in that environment to be successful there.
What do you got planned for the rest of the closing of the year?
I just got off a commercial project for an app. So I'm finishing that up. It's a lot of editing. We're working on this other end of the year piece, and that's pretty much going to close out the end of the year.
Do you do a hard drive deep? And when it starts getting locked in, I'm already in mine.
Really?
Every year my wife says, "Oh shit,
Here we go.
Here we go."
Yeah.
In the office, I pull out hard drives, because honestly, man, I feel like that's a great the 2 weeks that I have down. I can just sit in here and just go back to old shoots.
Yeah.
And maybe it wasn't an agenda of mine.
Right.
I was looking for one thing, one style at that moment. And then I go back like, oh man, that's good.
Right.
That's
Dude, I love that. I wish we had more time and it sounds weird, but I wish we had more time from the client standpoint to say, hey, sit on this for 3 weeks.
Yeah. I wonder sometimes if I do take too much time and they're looking at the dinosaur because I do take my time a little bit, and I'm just like, I have a feeling that the clients are like, they don't want to be like, no, dude, come on now.
Right.
And I feel that.
I at least say that to say you can't really, once you step away for a while, you can't really look at it. You know what I mean? Like once you step away and look at it with a fresh pair of eyes, completely, non-jaded by everything because oftentimes too, it's like you get to the end of a project and everyone's just like, can we finish this? And I hate that. I hate that because you feel so excited, and then it gets everyone's jaded by all the work and labor and deadlines and all this pressure, and it's like, get it done.
That's why you wait. and then you start throwing out the client some bombs. Like, oh, this is so great. It feels fresh.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I just coming off of that project that I just did, this commercial project, 3-day shoot. The dude, the producer, I guess the agency owner who brought me on to do the job was like, I sent him the piece and I was like, fingers crossed. I don't know. We had a lot of, things that went not in our favor. Anyway, I sent him the final piece. He was like, dude, how did you make this out of what we shot? And that's like the most fulfilling thing,
Sure. How do you make chicken salad out of chicken? Yeah, I hear you.
Exactly.
Well, dude, and I appreciate you coming out here like
Dude,
this,
thank
and
you for having me, man.
I knew it was going to be extremely conversational
Yeah,
the way we were on set, and it turned out to be a highlight.
I love conversations like this, man. I hope I gave you something worthwhile.
Had a blast, brother. Thank you so much.
Dude, thank you, man. It's been awesome.
Thank you.